Hey everyone, Mark here with Promevo TV, and I'm sitting here today with the Acer CB3-431, better known to you as the Acer Chromebook 14. Let's kick this one off. Before I dive into the review, I want to remind you that Promevo is a premier Google partner focusing solely on our customers' Google lives. We here at Promevo want to engage with as many people as possible to share all of our offerings, from G Suite to Chrome devices to software solutions like our very own G Panel and G Scholar to help build and maintain your Google life needs. If you want to know more about us, just go ahead and click this little guy right here. Hey guys, sorry about that. I totally forgot to put in the line about the spec sheet in the video, so here's the spec sheet. Get ready to pause if you're interested to read more of that. I'm back out of here. Let's talk display. The Acer Chromebook 14 has a 14-inch Full HD IPS display. It's really bright and vibrant, all hallmarks of a quality display. But you know what? This one gets a few extra points from me today for having a sweet matte finish. I love matte finish screens. I feel like I talk about that all the time. It helps dull any light reflections that you might pick up in the studio, for example, when we're shooting these videos, and thus would work in almost any other scenario where light might be an issue for you. Huge fan of matte screens. Reminds me of the screen, honestly, on my Acer 14 for work that I've talked about so much that I did an overview video on last year. I know I've mentioned it a bunch, and it's one of my all-time favorite Chromebook displays, if that says anything to you. Let's talk power. The Chromebook 14 is powered by the Intel Celeron N3160 processor. After finding out that this device starts in the sub-$300 range, I was incredibly impressed with its performance. Now, I should mention that this device does not have access to the Google Play Store, so I can't really push it quite as hard as I've been able to push some of the other devices that I've recently reviewed, but I still think this one runs great. It's pretty much been silky smooth in all of my applications, handling plenty of open tabs with no question, and video playback's been great too. There's no external SD slot, so I can't see how it handles reading things off a card, but any files that I've saved directly onto the hard drive and run off the computer have been working fine so far too, so that's great. I believed that this device was designed with an all-over approach, so I could really see this appealing most to the business as well as the consumer market, but I actually think that teachers and maybe some older students would be really pleased with this device as well. Let's talk battery. Acer quotes us up to 12 hours of battery life, and I think the average user's truth is really going to be more like 10.5 to maybe 11 hours. When keeping my brightness low and reducing the amount of multitasking I'm doing, I found it gets much closer to 12 hours. Now, I know I say this in almost every review video, but it bears repeating. This is the case on almost every Chromebook I've ever touched. You can drastically extend your battery life by reducing the brightness of the screen. This is a very, very, very simple tip to increase your battery life. I like to turn it into a little game for myself, so when I get down to the 5% and under range, I like to play with the brightness and see how long I can make the estimated time of battery depletion meter wrong. Let's talk input methods. The trackpad is great. It's really smooth. It feels solid. It absolutely matches the rest of this sleek design of this device. But I know you're ready for me to complain about a keyboard again. This one's okay. It's not quite as much of a letdown for me as the Samsung Chromebook Plus and Pro's keyboard. But then again, this device is not being marketed and pushed as a super high-end Chromebook either. Ultimately, the key travel is minimal. The feel is much closer to that cheap, plasticky end of things than not, and at least on my device, the spacebar is terrible. Now, I don't know if the spacebar issue is just limited to my unit, as we all know that big productions like these mean that some devices will have the occasional defect, but on mine, the spacebar's response is not good. If I do not apply direct, intense pressure to the spacebar, it often does not register the space at all. This is exacerbated if you're like many of us who don't typically strike the spacebar dead center. Related to input, however, there is an HD webcam on here. It's got a wide angle field of view, and like all webcams, is serviceable. It works fine, it's just a webcam. I have no idea why you guys want to know about the webcam every time. Let's talk form factor and build. I love this champagne gold color, but I know that has little bearing on the actual quality of the device, so let's move on from that. What I like so much about the build and look of this device is how sleek and slim it feels. It's actually only 2/3 of an inch thick, or 16.95 millimeters for the rest of you playing along at home, which makes it feel like one of the most portable Chromebooks that I've had so far. It's got an all-metal chassis, meaning that it can totally withstand getting kicked by the muscles from Brussels repeatedly, even after you ask him to stop throwing sweet roundhouses in your studio. Thanks, Jean. Last but not least, it's got a 180-degree hinge, and that hinge feels pretty beefy. In this case, I'd assume it's designed to help prevent damage if you get just, I don't know, a little too excited when opening your Chromebook. Let's talk ports. You've got an HDMI out on it, which is always a favorite of mine. I actually just recently used this device for a presentation about a week ago at an event I was doing, and I was really pleased with its use on an external display. This is a huge feature in the business and education world, making it way easier to collaborate with coworkers, students, whatever. There are two USB 3.0 Type A ports on the device, which is nice, but I will lament the lacking inclusion of at least one USB Type-C port. Actually, let me rant a little bit here. I talk a lot about my love for the Acer Chromebook 14 for work, and it was one of the earliest devices that I ever received that had a USB Type-C charger and port built into it. It's kind of funny to me that recently it feels like Acer has taken a step back from this forward-thinking approach on the last few models that I've looked at. So while I'm definitely happy that they didn't outright abandon the Type A standard like a few other devices, I also think that a little future-proofing here would have been great on this device. Doubly so as they use a proprietary style charger, which is arguably my least favorite thing that manufacturers do. Now, I'm not trying to say that this is why Acer or any other company does this, but from a consumer standpoint, and I'm a bit of a cynic, it mostly feels like you just want to guarantee another sale when I inevitably lose or break my charger. All right, here's my final word. You want a powerful, budget-friendly device and you don't want or require access to the Google Play Store? Well, look no further. The price on this device is awesome. It's got a slick design, it's super portable, it feels lightweight, and it seems to handle plenty of multitasking with aplomb. While I have to give it some negative marks for the keyboard, lacking USB Type-C port, and the proprietary charger, the price point makes these things infinitely more forgivable. If this device was launching at, the 500 and above range, then yeah, I'd be happy to let Jean kick this baby out of the studio. Hey everyone, I obviously know we're a business, and since I love receiving paychecks, I have to remind you, if you are a business, place of education, government facility, or nonprofit organization, please let Promevo be your provider for all of your Google Life needs. Visit shop.promevo.com for more. You can also just click this little guy in the corner if you want to check out the Acer Chromebook 14 right on our shop. Get connected with a sales rep and get a quote made. Oh, you have a quote from a competitor? Well, we'd love to beat it. Just get in touch with us. I want to give a special thank you today to Jean-Claude Van Damme for helping us out with this video. What'd you think, Jean?
Great job.
Thanks! Okay, everyone, as always, please like, share, and subscribe to our videos. You can click the little subscribe button in the bottom corner here to ensure that you've subbed to our channel. Thanks so much for watching as always, and I will see you all next time.